another episode of Govtech Today. I'm Russell Lowery.
And I'm Jen Saha.
And together we try and bridge the gap between .com and .gov. Well, the gap in our world, there's a earthquake in the technology procurement space. For years now, we've had something that has been alternatively mocked and criticized and pointed to and blame shift called the PAL process, the Project Approval Lifecycle, where significant technology projects went through a process that we're all familiar with in the tech procurement space. And now there's something called the Project Delivery Lifecycle that's replacing the Project Approval Lifecycle. So we're shifting from PAL to PDL. Is it just a letter or is there something more to it? Jen, what's your initial take as you've taken a look at it?
I think to be determined is my initial take. The PAL process is broken, and it's a huge barrier to having successful, timely technology projects in the state of California.
Why don't we talk first? What were the problems with the PAL process, or maybe one or two that you think were really big problems with the PAL process?
I think, like, from the state's perspective, they would say, why, if we have this comprehensive process, why do we still have all these failures?
Right.
And so successful IT projects was like the goal of having you go through this process. There's, 4 whole stages, everything from business analysis to alternatives analysis to we're going to procure it and buy it to, let's have a contract in place and a solution in place. And I think from the vendor community, you don't mind jumping through the hurdles. Like, that's part of dealing with government is you're going to have some more hurdles. These hurdles oftentimes would kill a project. Like, it just takes so long. I mean, we're talking years to get through. Even one of these stages could take years. So from the vendor community and from the state side too, it's time. It's a huge time suck.
So you're not at all resistant to reforms, changes, a new process.
Yes, please.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that part, we're over that hurdle. And the biggest challenges with the project approval lifecycle were time and do we actually deliver successful projects on time and on budget that deliver the solution that was envisioned. So those are pretty core challenges for a procurement process. So there's not this deep affection. I'll say some positive things about the PAL process for a newer entrant into the space was you could go and see, especially like a stage 1 project, the description of what they were trying to do. What are they thinking about? What's the headache or the pain point? We fight to get meetings with a CISO or a technology office or a department or an agency, and having as much information as possible before we go into that meeting about their pain points is really helpful. And the PAL process helped with that. In addition to everything else we do, I liked that portion of it. And then for me as a budget nerd, tracking the stuff through the budget process and syncing that up with the PAL process, maybe I saw things a little quicker than maybe some other people understanding the budget process portion of it. But now we're shifting. We had a soft launch in February. We're going to have a hard launch for the PDL process in July. But I thought I heard some hesitancy, a wait and see approach. At first glance, is the PDL process going to solve our technology procurement issues in California?
I'm not sure. I question a lot of it. It's still a very lengthy process. And while we all understand the need for these checks and balances, we also have to keep in mind we need these things to happen fast. I mean, with generative AI in the mix now, we need them to happen lightning fast. So the new process is designed to incorporate more of these new modern technologies. I also like that it's sort of iterative. So
I
If you
thought that was
do,
the strength.
yeah, I think if you do find something in, phase 3 that you should have considered back in phase 1, there is the ability to go back and forth and do that. I think a lot of these policies and practices really need to play out a little bit before I can say, like, yeah, this is better or no, it's not. Like, I need to see it in use, I need to see it in action. I would love, and I can't wait until we have a couple big projects go through this and say, like, how is this different than what PAL used to be? I mean, this isn't our first go at this either. Like, I can remember back, 15 years ago, there was a review process for every technology project. It was called something different, but this whole reinventing this process, making it better, streamlining it, it's happened before. And somehow we still end up pointing to this as the reason that everything takes so long. So I would love for it to be faster. I would love for it to be way faster and still provide the protections that I do think government needs when they're embarking on a project. But until I see it in action, until I see something go through it and can point to results like, yes, this is so much better than that, it's going to be really hard. Because right now it's a lot of words on paper. It's a lot of, have you checked these things? Which, yep, we should check all of those things. I'm not sure if it is truly streamlined.
The way I looked at it, I didn't see it, and I didn't see it as a solution for speed. Um, from project idea to full implementation, I thought I saw that you could get quicker from idea to first version. So that iterative process was designed to do a little bit, see if it works, do some more.
Yep.
And that piece of it, I can certainly see projects where that will matter. I have a personal passion for data cleansing and data management. It's not the sexiest, thing in IT, but maybe we can rebrand a data cleanup project as an AI readiness project.
Totally.
But those are the kinds of things where I could see, if you've got a large project, if you can get going on the data cleanup stuff now, because you can wait 18 months, 2 years down the road, but you need to start cleaning your data earlier. Those are the kinds of
Yep.
pieces of the project that I could see getting funded and moving forward that I think might be helpful.
There is an emphasis on, proof of concepts, minimum viable products, and iterating on top of that. So I'm hopeful that this means something is in production a lot sooner than with the existing PAL
Right.
process. Like that, you're right. That would be incredible. It's how do you check all those boxes along the way? And frankly, even like, when does a project have to go through this and when does it not?
That's not clear.
Right? So, PAL right now, I mean, you know this, but a lot of projects are like, if I can keep it below a dollar amount, if I can avoid PAL, like that's the goal here. So, sell me
Right.
whatever you have to sell me that'll keep me out of that very onerous process. I don't know. It like the way it works right now is departments have to sort of escalate these projects to their agencies. Their agency information officer has a lot of authority on saying, yes, this needs to go through PAL, or no, this doesn't. It doesn't meet the requirements or the complexities to have to be considered a project. Uh, to be determined on whether that stays the same, right? What's going through this and what's not. I think our Department of Technology and our procurement office over there in particular, and the project office over there, they are inundated with tons of work. Like they are overworked in that arena.
Ah,
So what's the answer to that? Like my first thing is like just don't do a lot of that, right? Like delegate a lot of it back to the departments who have staff and are waiting and need this stuff approved yesterday. But that hasn't really been the approach in the past. Like it's still like, nope, we've got to do all this work and we're just going to delay this.
I think it's a, a dirty little secret about the procurement process, but there are different rules for different people and departments and the confidence level in decision makers. So you have tech talent at Department of Finance, you have some tech talent at CDT, and you have tech talent at DGS, and then you have completely uh, different technology scattered expertise scattered throughout state departments. And so I think for instance, DMV right now. You have a department director who has a lot of confidence. He's a serious technologist, and he's built a team that people um, defer and trust to. Doesn't mean everything goes smoothly. Doesn't mean every project is golden. But there's a lot of confidence in their approach. I don't want to name check departments that don't enjoy that same reputation, but they're out there too.
You can on the procurement side of it, because it's very much the same, right? Like your technology expertise and depth, and then your procurement expertise and depth. And a lot of that is where these departments get hung up. Like we need to go to the statewide technology procurement office because our procurement office doesn't have the depth and the expertise. So DGS a while ago started a whole delegation process, right? Like we're going to delegate your ability to buy stuff based on your procurement expertise. How many people do you have? How much training do they have? Do you have failed procurements? Do you have audits that show you've screwed things up in the past? If you do, we're not going to give you as much authority. You can only spend contracts up to $1 million, where this other department that's more sophisticated, knows what they're doing, has a great track record, everyone is trained. They can spend up to $4 million. They're in a different tier than you guys over here. And I think a lot of that should probably be looked at on this whole technology project side of it too, right? Like if you are a DMV and you've got leadership and you've got project management expertise and you have a track record of deploying projects,
Right.
maybe we give you a little more freedom. You don't have to go through this process with CDT in a backlog, in a line, waiting for staff to help you. You can just do your own. And then those departments that do need it can come to CDT. I would even encourage them to go a step further and say, not only can you come to CDT, but guess what? Like project management is a skill that exists in the private sector and is very good at making technology work in organizations. So not only can you go to CDT, but you can hire a consulting company to come in and help you manage third party. They're not interested. They're not bidding on the project. Help you manage this project internally yourself.
So outsourcing the project management portion of it to so that your project management expertise is elevated, and that's going to help you. They're not making technology decisions. They're whatever you've decided, and even agreed on the schedule. You've got this project management team that's making sure those alignments and things are done.
This happens already. There are companies in the industry that are experts at PAL. They know just what you need to write to move this through the process as quickly as possible. And departments will hire them. They're like, we got a big project. We need help. We need a project management office. We need someone that knows DevOps and project tracking and all of these skills. We don't have it internally. And CDT has a long wait list. So we're going to hire this company to come in and help us to be sort of a third party, uninterested party in the procurement side of it. They're not bidding on the project. They're just going to come in and help us move this project along, get us through this process, and help us.
So there was a vendor forum on a Wednesday last, and Jared Johnson, the deputy state chief information officer, sort of previewed this and was certainly vested in it, explaining it, knew his stuff, was well prepared for that. But then they announced that this is going to be the process coming into July. Is there another public process for engaging, improving, suggestion, or will this be something where the vendor community are throwing themselves at Mr. Johnson's door and
Poor Jared.
poor Jared, and trying to trying to get the iterative changes before then? Is it?
So, I
What's
mean,
it?
it's published and live right now. And I would encourage everyone to log on and check it out and know that when you're trying to sell to government, this is the process that government has to go through, right? Understanding that, speaking in the same terminology, doing your homework before you go in somewhere always should be what the vendor community is doing. And if there are concerns, like huge red flags in this, um, they want to hear about them. They're
Okay.
always open to that. I mean, they have a whole stakeholder relations unit at the Department of Technology that's like, tell us what you think. We want your feedback. Now, this isn't for like, well, we'll see. I'm not sure about it. This is for like, hey, you have this in there and this is going to cause X. And we know that wasn't your intent.
Right.
The another thing that is in this project lifecycle that wasn't in the previous is considerations for generative AI.
Right.
So we're getting away from you have to have a form on every procurement to thinking of generative AI as a thought for every type of project or procurement. It's being incorporated in our standard terms and conditions as opposed to being sort of an afterthought. So I do like that
That's
about it,
smart.
right? Like we have new technology, we have to account for that in the thinking of how a project unfolds.
And
So
there's
that's
a
a positive.
difference. There's a difference between somebody used Gen AI to grammar check. I was
Right.
to grammar check a document. It I looked at the identify, and I think honestly, it's hard to do any work. Uh, I have AI in my inbox. Did I use AI as it sorted my email? That sort of blanket prohibition always seemed unworkable. This one, the state has made very clear they do not want state data being used to train large language models.
Yep.
Like,
And I
that's,
think that's
yeah,
fine. Like that's a given when you're dealing with government data, right?
right,
Like this is not your learning and training fodder here. This is like sensitive information. I think they're looking at, and they use the term meaningful use of generative AI
right,
a number of times in that forum and in their guidance. They're looking at like, all right, generative AI, is it making decisions? What is it using? What data is it using? And is that considered high risk? So there's a whole risk analysis that departments need to go through when they are using generative AI, when you do check yes on
right.
that. But right, like checking your grammar, that's not a significant use and certainly not a high risk use of generative AI.
Right. And you could do it in a way that was if you were ingesting all of the data, running it, and using it to train your model and spitting out an answer. But that's not what is typically going on in that function. One other thing I liked about the process is the stage one, first 10 questions, the department will have to identify which state goals they are aligning with the advancement of this project. And so you can have a strategic plan for technology and data and how you're going to approach this. But if every project is not aligned to that goal, then uh, is it really a guiding document? And I'm hopeful, at least, that people will at least have to rhetorically identify which of the 5 state goals they do. For the vendor community, I think this is important too, because you can get in the weeds on your technology solution, but you know that if your solution is going to have to tie to the state goals, that maybe we can articulate and tie those things to better together in our proposals and interactions with state agencies.
I do like that because it makes those plans more than just like a plan that sits on a shelf, right? Like you can't do it unless it aligns to the plan. If you're checking none of the above on that
Right.
question,
Boom.
like automatic rejection,
Right.
figure it out, figure out how, and they're broad enough, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not doing a project for fun. No one is. And so making sure that it aligns to that, not only to your departments, but to the statewide technology plans is really important.
and inclusive the first one was the inclusive digital experience. I thought, okay, you can fit a lot under that one, and no one doing a project that doesn't have security in mind. There are better and worse answers to that question. Um, Obviously, dealing with the people and processes and state government is going to be an issue, whether or not some of those goals were pretty ambitious. I think the third one was making the state a destination employer. There are a lot of advantages
Mm-hmm.
to working for the state. I think in our next episode, we're going to talk about some of the shifting dynamics of working for the state. But right now, we're talking about a destination employer. Those are some pretty broad goals, but at least it's pointing people in one direction, and it gives the state something they can tighten up on in the future. Well, thanks for sharing your insights on the new PDL. We got rid of the PAL, but we're not down an acronym.
We're not. No, I mean, it used to be the feasibility study report, the FSR, and then it was PAL, and now it's PDL. So yeah, we'll see. I'm hopeful. Anything that helps, right? Like,
Hey,
let's improve those metrics at the end of the day. Let's get it done faster. Let's get it done better.
that's a positive note that we can end on. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks.